Let's get going. So just have your props nearby, and then we're going to start off seated tonight. I always like to sit on a block at the beginning, just makes it a bit more comfortable. Okay, so bring yourself into whichever seat feels comfortable for you. So that might be cross-legged, or you might want to sit on your block with your feet tucked behind you there in hero pose, or something else. As long as you're comfortable, that's the main thing. And just allow your hands to fall wherever they feel comfortable. And let's have a little shrug of the shoulders. A couple of times one way, a couple of times the other. And then a couple of rotations of the head there. Oh, I'm a bit crunchy. And then coming into stillness, sitting nice and tall. And let's check in. So checking in with your physical body, noticing any niggles, any areas of tightness. Just noticing what's going on there. And remember, in Restorative Yoga, more than ever, it's about comfort. So absolutely working with your body as it is, not looking to force your body into any positions. We use the props. The poses are super simple. Everything is about comfort. Discomfort scale anywhere between 0 and 2 out of 10. So really chilled. Time to let go. And then checking in emotionally, so noticing how you're feeling. Noticing if you're avoiding, allowing anything to come up into your awareness. Of course, that's your choice, but maybe during this practice you could allow your awareness to travel to some other places as we stop doing and start being. You're super safe in this practice, totally held, so maybe you can let go of some of your control or grip on certain ways of being and just melt into how you are. And now checking in with your breath. So as you've settled into the practice now, checked in physically, emotionally, often the breath can slow down. Noticing how easy or difficult it might be to breathe, how deeply you're breathing naturally. No judgment here, just noticing. And then bring your hands together into prayer position with the thumbs resting against the sternum, Anjali Mudra. As you breathe now, take that breath a bit deeper down, maybe into the belly. As you fill up the chest, feel the sternum pressing against the thumbs, going all the way up into the top of the lungs. And as you exhale, let it go and feel your heart drop down. Maybe feeling your heart beating gently through your chest. Tonight I want to take you through a practice that gets you right to the heart of who you are. Strip away some of those layers of who maybe you've learned to be or who you think you should be, and starting to connect with who you really are. I've been reading an amazing book at the moment called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And for me this book is all about stripping ourselves of everything that we've tried to be or that we've resisted being. Letting go of some of those ways of being that protect you but then shield you from being who you really are. And as we go through the practice, I'm going to read some quotes from the book that I've found particularly inspiring. And it's up to you whether you listen to these and do anything with them, but what I invite you to do in any event is try to notice any resisting, any holding on, and see if you can just melt into being who you are at your deepest core, trying to connect to that place inside you. It can be scary. It can be exhilarating. It can be peaceful. So allow yourself to feel whatever feelings arise. Just be with them. You're nice and safe. Let's take another 5 breaths here. And then when you've taken those 5 breaths, keeping your eyes closed, start to rub your hands together. And we're going to generate some heat. So I want you to feel that heat between the hands as you create that friction. And then when you feel your hands are nice and warm, I want you to place the closed palms over your eyes. And breathe in that warm, soothing energy. This is a shortcut to calming down your nervous system. It's a really lovely way to settle everything down, to help you take that attention inside. As you inhale, draw that warm energy that's passed from your heart into your hands, allowing you to gaze towards your heart, to your spirit, that place where the real you resides. Just another couple of breaths here. And bringing the hands down, take a moment there. And then we're going to transition into reclined butterfly pose. So when you're ready, blinking your eyes open. So we're going to have your blocks either side of your mat, ready to catch the knees. And then using your cushions, pillows or bolster, taking it down the mat. So if you have a rectangular shaped cushion, then having the long side stretching down your mat. So that you can bring your bottom just up to the base of your bolster or cushions or pillow. And then we're going to bring the blocks so that they catch the thighs, bringing the soles of the feet together, and we're going to recline back over your bolster or whatever else it is that you're using. And if you feel like you're a little high here, then you can you can remove one of your cushions or the pillows. As long as your heart's lifted up here above the head, and we've got those legs parted with the legs supported by something at the sides here so that you can release. And then we're going to turn the palms to face upward. Maybe take those arms a little wider and relax into the pose. You breathe in any way that feels right for you, but breathe with awareness. If your mind starts to wander into the past or the future, to distracting thoughts that take you away from feeling what you need to feel, knowing what you need to know, then just use the breath to come back. So like I said, I'm going to talk to you through the practice tonight, but if you prefer to have that stillness without needing to listen to my guiding words, then just allow yourself to switch off and go inside. So, it's okay to feel all of the stuff that you're feeling. You're just becoming human again. You're not doing life wrong. You're doing it right. If there's any secret that you're missing, it's that doing it right is just really hard. Feeling your feelings, feeling all of your feelings is hard. But that's what they're for. Feelings are for feeling. All of them. Even the hard ones. The secret is that you're doing it right, and that doing it right hurts sometimes. I did not know before I was told that all feelings are for feeling. I did not know that I was supposed to feel everything. I thought I was supposed to feel happy. I thought happy was for feeling, and that pain was for fixing and numbing and deflecting and hiding and ignoring. I thought that when life got hard, it was because I had gone wrong somewhere. I thought that pain was weakness, and that I was supposed to suck it up. But the thing was that the more I sucked it up, the more food and booze I had to suck down. Living with anxiety, living alarmed, makes it impossible to enter the moment, to land inside my body and to be there. I cannot be in the moment because I'm too afraid of what the next moment will bring. I always have to be ready. Taking another 5 breaths here. When you've taken those breaths, take your hands around the sides of the legs and give them a lift back up to centre. Take a moment there with the knees together. And from here we're going to move gently into the next pose, which is your supported bridge pose. Taking your blocks, so maybe 1 or 2, you see how it feels, underneath the sacrum. So we're going to keep the back on your bolster or cushions or pillows and bring in the block underneath the sacrum, maybe 2 blocks. You see how you feel. It can be quite intense to go this high, so only do this if it feels super comfortable for you. And then we're going to stretch the legs away. So see how you feel. 1 block or 2. It's up to you. Or anything else that you're using. We're trying here to have the heart and the hips at the same level, but if that's too uncomfortable for you, then just let go of the block. Let go of that second block and allow yourself to be as you are. As the body is comfortable, you can more easily slip inside. And making yourself nice and comfortable before coming into stillness. As you enjoy the different sensation of this pose, the heart still open and open in a different area of the hips. Settling in. Nice and comfortable. The opposite of sensitive is not brave. It's not brave to refuse to pay attention, to refuse to notice, to refuse to feel, and to know and imagine. The opposite of sensitive is insensitive, and that's no badge of honour. Since I got sober, stopped numbing from the feelings, I have never been fine again, not for a single moment. I have been exhausted and terrified and angry. I have been overwhelmed and underwhelmed and debilitatingly depressed and anxious. I have also been amazed and awed and delighted and overjoyed to bursting. I have been reminded constantly by my deepest feelings that this will pass. Stay with me. Since I allowed myself to feel, I have been alive. If you are uncomfortable, in deep emotional pain, angry, yearning, confused, you don't have a problem, you have a life. Being human is not hard because you're doing it wrong. It's hard because you're doing it right. Nothing can be healed if it's not sensed first. Take another 5 breaths here. When you've taken your 5 breaths, bend the knees to bring the soles of the feet back on the ground. Take a moment there, and then taking your blanket or another cushion, maybe your block, bringing it onto your belly, and then draw the knees towards the chest, and maybe hold on to the knees with the hands. You might need to remove one of your blocks if you have both of them underneath you. knees towards the chest. We're just holding here for 5 breaths, as this is more of a transitional pose into our next one, which is Viparita Karani, or legs against the wall pose. Don't worry if you haven't got a wall, we'll just stay here. And when you're ready, we're going to straighten up those legs, and you can bring your hands onto your blanket on your belly, or you can bring the hands down the sides of the body with the palms facing up. Give this a moment to become comfortable. It can be a little strange at first having the legs up, but you usually settle into this pose and it can feel really energizing and releasing as you start to experience a weightlessness in the legs. But if this doesn't feel good for you, then feel free to come back into the transitional pose with those knees hugging towards the chest. So you choose. Settling in here. Give your legs a rest. Those columns keeping you upright all day long. This pose is all about turning the idea of action upside down, inverting the idea of what it means to do, and instead focusing more on the stillness that allows you to be. We can get so busy in the doing of creating our lives that we forget to enjoy and live our life that we already have. As it is. You are a human being rather than a human doing. As a human being, your birthright is to be fully human. So you get to be everything. Loud, quiet, bold, smart, careful, impulsive, creative, joyful, big, angry, curious, ravenous, ambitious. You are allowed to take up space on this earth with your feelings, your ideas, your body. You do not need to shrink. You do not need to hide any part of yourself, ever. I think we are only bitter about other people's joy in direct proportion to our commitment to keep joy from ourselves. Taking another 5 breaths here. Taking your 5th breath, bend the knees and bring those knees back down towards your chest. Take a moment there, slowly bringing your feet back down onto the mat, removing your blanket to the side and taking your block to the side and then keeping your back on your bolster or cushions. Take your feet about as wide as the mat and then let those knees fall out to the right side, catching your right leg with the block or blocks and maybe bringing your blanket between your thighs just to give that left leg a bit of a break. As you come into a reclined twist, have a little wriggle about and get yourself nice and comfortable here, keeping the chest facing the ceiling and using those legs and the hips to create your twist. And then settle in. Settle back into your body and let go. So much of Glennon's writing is about releasing ourselves from the cage of what we think we ought to be or what we have told is right and wrong. And I thought that worked really well with the idea of restorative yoga being so needed in our hurried way of living, our hurried way of doing. It's about getting comfortable, releasing all striving and settling into things as they are, helping you settle into you as you are, all of who you are. Taking another 5 breaths on this side before we move to the other side. Ready to move to the other side, keeping the blanket between your thighs. Bring the knees up to center and take your block or blocks over to the left side, and then simply allow your knees to go over to the left side The blocks catching your left leg and the blanket between your thighs if you wish, to provide a bit of support for that right leg crossing over so that that leg doesn't have to hold itself up. Chest still facing the ceiling, arms out wide, chest open. And settling in. Taking another 5 breaths here. When you've taken your 5, we're going to transition up to seated by just rolling over a little more onto your left side, coming off your pillows or your bolster. And once you're over on your side, take a moment before using your top hand, pressing it into the ground to help keep the neck nice and relaxed as you lift yourself up to seated. And then you might want to sit on one of your cushions or your blanket just to lift the hips a bit higher. And then from here, we're going to cross the right leg in front, stretching the left leg out to the side, and then bring your block up onto the highest level as you lean over to the left side and cradle your head with that left hand. Staying here, or maybe lifting your right arm up and bringing it over onto the other side. This can be quite intense. And if you feel that your right knee is lifted up a bit high, then use your other block to catch that right knee, and you do what feels right for you, nice and comfortable. Just working into the spine a bit more now. So go into a side bend, opening up into the right side of the heart. Check that the face is nice and soft, the forehead relaxed, eyebrows, eyelids relaxed. Let the lips and teeth gently part You could even slide the lips over each other just to check that your jaw is relaxed. Settle in and breathe. Five more breaths on this side. When you've taken those 5, just releasing your head as you bring the hand onto your block. Lift yourself up and then bring the hand onto the head as you lift the head back to center. And from here, we're going to switch to the other side. So crossing your left leg in front, the right leg out to the side, taking your block underneath that knee if you need to, and then your other block just behind your knee or maybe a little further up the thigh. Bringing your right elbow onto your block and cradling the head with that right hand. And if you wish, you can keep your left hand down or bringing it up and resting it onto the head there. Don't worry too much if your elbow drops down here. As long as that left side of the body is nice and exposed and we come into the side bend. Give your weight to the floor, to the blocks. Let yourself be supported. Notice here if there's any holding on anywhere in the body. And as you exhale, soften in those areas. Let it go. Thinking about how it would be for there to be no right or wrong about who you are. It takes a lot of trust. Maybe that's the outcome. Five more breaths here. Done, keeping the head tipped over to the side, release your hand from the head, press your hand into the block, come up to center with the shoulders and then use that right hand to help your head back up to centre. And if you want to move the head around, just to ease off the neck there, do so. And then from here, we're going to bring all the props, other than what you might be sitting on, in front of you. And we're going to create a little tower. Keeping the legs wide. And then we're going to hug onto your props as you recline forward. Bringing your chin or your forehead onto these props. Now it may be, if you're particularly tight, you have to lift your blocks up a bit higher. So just have a play around. Do what you need to do in order to feel like you're supported here, so that you can relax into the props. Take your time. It's worth spending that time getting yourself nice and comfortable. And then let yourself fall forward into those props. It can be really tempting here to hold on by squeezing the thigh muscles. So just notice once again where you might be holding on, and just give way to the ground, to the props. Enjoy that lovely opening into the hips, nothing too intense. And your back nice and open. Maybe as your back's nice and open here, thinking about what you maybe need to let go of. What will help you return to who you really are. Glennon talks about this, facing who she really is by letting go of our alcoholism. Sobriety was my painstaking resurrection, my return to wild. It was one long remembering. It was realizing that the hot electric thunder I felt buzzing and rolling inside of me, trying to get my attention, begging me to remember, insisting I'm still in here. So I finally unlocked and unleashed her. I set free my beautiful, rowdy, true, wild self. I was right about her power. It was too big for the life I had been living. So I systematically dismantled every piece, and then I built a life of my own. I did it by resurrecting the very parts of myself I was trained to mistrust, hide, and abandon in order to keep others comfortable. My emotions, my intuition, my imagination, my courage. Those are the keys to freedom. Will we be brave enough to unlock ourselves? Will we be brave enough to set ourselves free. Will we finally step out of our cages and say to ourselves, to our people, and to the world, here I am. Slowly start to bring yourself back up. Removing your blocks. And then we're going to move into half pigeon. So crossing your right shin in front and then swinging your left leg behind. Sorry, I'll do it this way. Those of you who struggle with getting that left leg behind, then you can stay in this position, and maybe you want to bring a block or a cushion underneath your right hip and then take some, so either with this leg out to the side or behind you, you choose what feels right for you. I think most people here are fine with regular pigeon. Supporting your right hip if you need to, and then bringing some other props in front so that you can fold forward. And once again, chin or forehead. There we go. So just to show you sideways on. Take your time, like I said, it's worth it. And like I say, if you feel like you're leaning over to that right side, then just bring a block or two underneath that thigh, underneath the hip, so that your hips are nice and square off to your mat, and then come down. And if you find once you're down there that it's a bit too uncomfortable, bring yourself up and take this variation instead. If you find that your props aren't high enough, then you can cup the face with both hands as you bring your elbows onto the props. And let go while you're here in this lovely supported half pigeon pose. So you may experience a little more discomfort here. You know what your limit is. You know what feels right for you. And as we contemplate revealing who we really are to ourselves and the world, so we say, maybe it's safe enough just to stay here, even if that's not true enough. Maybe it's good enough. But good enough is what makes people numb too much through their numbing of choice. It's what makes people snark too much and become bitter and sick, and they live in quiet desperation until they lie on their deathbed and wonder what kind of life, relationship, family, even world might I have created if I had been braver? Taking 5 breaths here. Taking those 5, gently press into your arms, then into your hands as you lift up. Remove any props from the right side there, rocking onto your right hip, and then swing your left leg around, bending the knees so that the left shin is in front, and taking your your right leg all the way around before you come into the position on the other side, supported by a block underneath your left hip if need be, and reclining down onto your props, or maybe if that feels too much, and it might be different on one side to the other, so you can take this variation here, which should feel even more comfortable, and then reclining down. Feeling this through the left outer hip, and if that right leg's behind, through the front of the right hip. When we allow difficult feelings, you can begin to know when the pain and the stillness is here, that the rising is on its way. I hope that the pain will pass soon, but I'm prepared to wait it out, because I've tested pain enough to trust it, and because who I will become tomorrow is so unforeseeable and specific that I'll need every bit of today's lessons to become that person. Taking another 5 breaths here. from here, pressing into the arms, then into the hands as you lift yourself up, removing the block and rocking over onto your left hip as we now prepare for Shavasana. So for your Shavasana, you might want to bring your your pillows or cushions underneath the knees. Maybe place your head on a block or not, you choose. And covering yourself in your blanket for that little bit of extra weight so that you feel nicely held, warm and supported. And it might feel nice for you in tonight's Shavasana to bring both hands onto your heart, only if that feels okay for you. You might prefer one on the belly, one on the heart, or both arms stretched down the body. You do what feels right for you. Rocking the head side to side just to check that there's no tension in that neck. Having a little wriggle about so that you're nice and comfortable and can remain still. I'd like to introduce you to, or perhaps remind some of you, of the word Selah. Selah is found in the Hebrew Bible 74 times. Scholars believe that when the word Selah appears in the text, it's a direction to the reader to stop reading and be still for a moment, because the previous idea is important enough to consider deeply. The poetry in scripture is meant to transform, and the scribes knew that change begins through reading, but can be completed only through quiet contemplation. Selah appears in Hebrew music too. It's believed to be a signal to the music director to silence the choir for a long moment, to hold space between the notes. The silence, of course, is when the music sinks in. And so now, take all of your awareness into the center of your chest, to your heart, and spend some time with your heart in the silence, contemplating, allowing it to speak to you and the messages to sink in. So those of you who wish to stay for a bit longer, then just drown out the sound of my voice and come away from your Shavasana whenever you're ready. And those of you who are ready to come back, take your attention into the centre of your chest and take a nice deep breath. Feel the heart rise. And as you exhale, feel that breath spread through your whole body, going all the way down to the fingers and the toes and the top of the head. Take a moment and then gently start to move your fingers and toes. Come back really slowly. Moving up the arms and the legs, going into the elbows, the knees, giving the head a gentle rock side to side. It might feel nice for you on your next inhalation to take a full body stretch, reaching the arms overhead and the legs away from you, coming back into your amazing body. Drawing the knees up towards the chest as you gently rock over onto whichever side feels good for you. Take your time. Making sure that you're awake and relaxed as you gently press yourself up to seated. And once we're sat back upright, let's rub those hands together once again, create some more heat. And then this time, placing your left hand on your heart, followed by the right. Feel that energy that you've created go back into your heart. And for tonight's gratitude practice, we're going to be grateful to your heart for speaking to you, particularly through your discontent with any areas of your life, any relationships, with the world. Thank your heart for continuing to speak to you, to let you know that all is not well. It's a difficult journey to listen to your heart. It's always worth it. Your heart always has yours and everybody else's best interests at heart. But it starts with you, so be you, all of you. Be brave. Bringing the hands together into prayer position now. Feel that last warmth between those palms. And we'll close the practice by taking a final breath together to unite us. Inhaling. And as you exhale, gently blinking your eyes open. Thank you for sharing your practice with me tonight, guys. It was really wonderful to share it with you. Namaste.